told me you had food poisoning.
She wouldn't do it.
That's what happens, you know? She gets food poisoning.
I get it.
She has food poisoning. Run in all excited and shoot a layup and can't even catch my pass.
I did catch it.
Barely. Like, the rep would have hit one of these. 6'7". You know that call? You're like, hey, I don't know. She was like, hey.
Professional sports operates as a relentless battlefield where power and money dictate every move. It is an intense capitalist environment where influence isn't politely negotiated, it is seized through leverage and results. Over the past year, a vocal group of veteran players inside the Women's National Basketball Association has pushed aggressively for major financial changes as the league's revenue and visibility continue to grow. Their proposals reportedly include a 50% share of league income, fully guaranteed multi-million-dollar contracts, and additional benefits such as housing support. Some leaders have even warned that the 2026 season could be disrupted if negotiations with league executives and ownership groups fail to produce the agreement they want. Much of this hardline strategy has been built around a critical assumption, one that critics argue may prove to be a serious miscalculation about where the true balance of power in the league actually lies. Many within that movement assumed the sudden wave of new fans discovering women's basketball were supporting the players' union itself. They believed audiences were tuning in for the long-established stars who had carried the league for years. But as the Women's National Basketball Association moves closer to a tense March 10 deadline, one that could dramatically impact the upcoming season, the most influential figure in the sport isn't even involved in those negotiations. While executives, agents, and union representatives debate revenue percentages and contract structures, Caitlin Clark is nowhere near the negotiating table. She isn't sitting on conference calls arguing over financial splits. Instead, she's thousands of miles away training at the University of Miami practice facilities, quietly doing what she does best, playing basketball. Every highlight shot, every viral clip, and every moment of excitement she creates online continues to amplify her influence across the sport. Without issuing statements or engaging in the conflict, Clark's presence alone reshapes the conversation, demonstrating how a single generational star can shift attention, momentum, and power within modern professional athletics.
A couple clips I'm about to show y'all. Me personally, I think they're making it their business to hype up this Team USA because Caitlin Clark is involved and they know they got their contract with TNT. Because when I tell you they have been feeding us content, y'all, I cannot lie to y'all. I mean, they have truly been feeding us Caitlin Clark content for the last.
The commentary reveals a harsh financial truth about modern sports media. Organizations like USA Basketball and broadcasters such as TNT Sports are not filling the internet with practice clips simply because they developed a sudden passion for international qualifiers. They are doing it because they understand the unforgiving economics of the modern attention market. In today's sports industry, visibility and engagement translate directly into revenue, and every viral highlight matters. Executives at TNT recently invested heavily in the women's 3-on-3 project Unrivaled, hoping to capture the surge of interest surrounding women's basketball even without the involvement of Caitlin Clark, the star point guard of the Indiana Fever. However, the results reportedly fell far short of expectations, with disappointing television numbers, limited crowd energy, and concerns raised after injuries to key players such as Aliyah Boston. The outcome highlighted just how fragile momentum can be in the sports entertainment economy when the biggest stars driving attention are absent. When the earlier experiment failed to deliver the results executives expected, leaders at TNT Sports responded the way large corporations often do when a product underperforms: they change direction quickly. Rather than continuing to invest in the veteran-driven project Unrivaled, the network shifted its focus toward securing broadcast access to international competition connected to USA Basketball, including events tied to the FIBA Women's Basketball World Cup qualifiers. One major reason is the global attention surrounding Caitlin Clark, the rising superstar from the Indiana Fever whose highlights consistently generate massive engagement online. Television networks understand that star power drives ratings, and Clark's popularity has become a central force behind the current surge of interest in women's basketball. While broadcasters build international programming around the sport's biggest names, the Women's National Basketball Players Association remains locked in difficult negotiations about salaries, revenue sharing, and the future direction of the league. That tension has created a noticeable divide in the public conversation. Union leaders want the focus to remain on labor concerns and financial fairness, while many fans are simply drawn to the excitement and visibility created by the new generation of players entering the spotlight.
This is what we've been wanting, man. We've been wanting basketball content. And if you have not been wanting basketball content, you a lame, bro. Like, you definitely a super lame. If you want to keep hearing all this CBA stuff, nobody want to hear all that all day. Nobody want to keep reporting on that. Nobody want to hear all that. I don't want to hear nothing about no veterans. I want to hear nothing about none of that. I want to hear basketball, bro. Basketball, bro. And this is what we're finally getting. At least
many fans are far less interested in hearing about complex collective bargaining negotiations than they are in simply watching great basketball. Conversations about labor disputes, contract terms, and internal league disagreements often leave audiences feeling fatigued, especially when those discussions dominate headlines. Critics argue that constant online arguments, accusations, and tension between players and leadership have created a negative atmosphere around the sport. Instead of following heated debates on social media, most viewers just want to see elite talent competing at the highest level. For many of them, the excitement centers on watching a generational scorer like Caitlin Clark showcase her skills on the court. By staying largely silent during the ongoing negotiations involving the Women's National Basketball Players Association and focusing purely on basketball, Clark has unintentionally distanced herself from the political and labor battles surrounding the league, keeping the spotlight on her performance rather than the controversy. While the noise around negotiations keeps growing louder, Caitlin Clark has taken a completely different approach. She isn't flooding social media with complaints about revenue splits or travel conditions. She isn't leaking frustration to reporters or jumping on podcasts to air grievances. Instead, she's doing something far simpler and far more powerful. She shows up, works, smiles, and lets her performance speak for itself. Every practice clip, every highlight, every viral moment sends the same message to the basketball world: the game itself is the main event. While debates continue within the Women's National Basketball Players Association, Clark's focus on playing the sport and entertaining fans has only amplified her global appeal. To many viewers, that contrast is striking: one side caught up in internal disputes, the other delivering the kind of electrifying basketball that people actually tune in to watch. But the deeper impact of this moment goes beyond public perception or media narratives. The timing of the latest training camp organized by USA Basketball has created an entirely new stage. While the league debates its future behind closed doors, Clark is out on an international court, competing, improving, and building momentum in front of a global audience. And in the ruthless economics of professional sports, timing like that can shift the entire conversation.
And they're going to bring on a Stewart, man. So today is what, the 8th? So today is the 8th. Look, another clip of Caitlin Clark. We essentially have 2 days, 48 hours, till we hear about a CBA update, bro. I'm here to tell you, we ain't heard about that. It ain't no new news coming out, just everybody's complaining. I'm going to let y'all know this right now. Now let's play CC next clip.
With the clock ticking down, the tension around the league has reached a boiling point. The Women's National Basketball Association is reportedly just 48 hours away from a critical deadline set by Commissioner Adam Silver. If a new collective bargaining agreement isn't reached in time, the upcoming season could face delays, something that would immediately place enormous pressure on the league's financial stability and long-term momentum. In most high-stakes labor negotiations, the final hours before a deadline are when unions try to display absolute unity. The message is usually clear: every member stands together, projecting strength in order to gain leverage against ownership. But the scene unfolding right now tells a very different story. While negotiations continue behind closed doors with the Women's National Basketball Players Association, some of the most recognizable stars in women's basketball appear far removed from the tension. Instead of being caught up in the controversy, they're focused on competing and preparing on the court. Look closely at the practice gym in Miami during the latest training sessions organized by USA Basketball. The atmosphere is completely different: laughter, competition, and elite players sharpening their skills. And standing right there in the middle of it all is Caitlin Clark, going head-to-head with one of the league's biggest stars, Kelsey Plum. While the business side of the sport wrestles with uncertainty, the game itself keeps moving forward on the court. And sometimes, those moments say more than any press conference ever could. What might look like a light-hearted moment in a practice gym actually reflects a much deeper storyline unfolding behind the scenes. The clip circulating online, players joking, competing, and laughing, has become symbolic of the growing tension within the leadership of the Women's National Basketball Players Association. Standing on that court with Caitlin Clark is Kelsey Plum, and her role in this situation goes far beyond being another elite guard in the gym. Plum isn't just a star player, she also serves as first vice president of the union, placing her directly inside the leadership structure that is currently navigating one of the most intense negotiations in the history of the Women's National Basketball Association. Reports of internal frustration have surfaced recently, including a letter that brought attention to concerns about communication, transparency, and the overall direction of negotiations within the organization. That criticism reportedly involved top union leadership, including President Nicaragua Mike and Executive Director Terry Carmichael Jackson. The situation has highlighted clear disagreements about strategy, priorities, and how the players should approach negotiations with league leadership. For many observers, the moment inside that Miami practice gym, Plum competing alongside Clark while the broader debate continues, illustrates the complicated reality facing the league right now. Some leaders are focused on pushing hard for structural change in the next labor agreement, while others appear more concerned about protecting the immediate stability and future growth of the sport. And as the deadline approaches, those differences inside the players' own leadership circle have become impossible to ignore. So where is the union's vice president at this critical moment? With the deadline looming and negotiations intensifying, many expected every key leader inside the Women's National Basketball Players Association to be visibly united and focused entirely on the labor battle. Yet the reality unfolding looks very different. Instead of standing at the center of the political storm, Kelsey Plum is in Miami, on the practice court, laughing, competing, and preparing alongside one of the most talked-about stars in basketball, Caitlin Clark. To many observers, that image says a lot about where the focus of the sport currently lies. While debates over contracts and revenue sharing continue behind closed doors, the athletes themselves are still building the next chapter of women's basketball on the court. Players like Plum and Breanna Stewart understand that the league's future growth depends on visibility, fan interest, and the continued surge of attention around the game. That's why the scenes from the latest training sessions with USA Basketball have drawn so much attention. Fans watching the clips don't see labor negotiations, they see elite competitors pushing each other, creating highlights, and generating the kind of global buzz that drives the modern sports economy. And in today's media landscape, that visibility matters. Television networks, sponsors, and audiences are all watching closely, and the players who can capture that attention become central to the sport's momentum. By sharing the court with Clark during these sessions, established stars are also showing something important. The next phase of women's basketball isn't just about negotiations, it's about the product on the floor and the excitement it creates for fans everywhere.
And then you run in all excited to shoot a layup and you couldn't even catch my pass.
I did catch it.
Barely. Like, the ref would have had one of these. 6'7". You know that call? You're like, hey, I don't know. Let's see what they say.
Selfish. That's selfish.
From the outside, the message many observers are picking up is that not every player shares the same strategy when it comes to the ongoing negotiations. While some voices within the Women's National Basketball Players Association are pushing for aggressive leverage in talks with the league, other players appear more focused on stability, growth, and getting the game back on the court as quickly as possible. For them, the opportunity to secure stronger long-term financial deals while maintaining the sport's current momentum may feel too important to risk. At the same time, the public conversation around women's basketball has increasingly centered on the massive attention surrounding Caitlin Clark. Her presence has brought unprecedented visibility, television ratings, and sponsorship energy into the sport. Because of that, every move she makes, especially on the international stage with USA Basketball, is being watched closely by fans, networks, and league executives. What makes this moment so fascinating is that Clark has largely avoided commenting on the labor dispute itself. Instead of taking sides publicly, she has simply focused on playing basketball, competing, and continuing to grow her global profile. That approach has shifted the narrative in a subtle but powerful way. While negotiations continue behind closed doors, the spotlight remains on the excitement of the game rather than the conflict surrounding it. As the Women's National Basketball Association moves closer to critical decisions about its future, the question many analysts are asking is simple: in a modern sports economy driven by media attention, star power, and fan engagement, how much influence can a single transcendent player have over the direction of an entire league? The strategy some people assume the players might use in negotiations is based on a simple idea: if the athletes refuse to play, the league's owners will face financial pressure and eventually concede ground in the talks. In theory, withholding labor is meant to force the other side to the negotiating table. But the financial structure surrounding the Women's National Basketball Association makes that calculation far more complicated. Many of the league's ownership groups are closely connected to the massive financial ecosystem of the National Basketball Association, a multi-billion-dollar global business. For decades, that larger structure has helped sustain the WNBA while it continued to grow its audience and commercial footprint. Because of that backing, a short-term disruption, while damaging, would not necessarily threaten the long-term survival of ownership groups. For players, however, the situation can feel very different. A large portion of the league's athletes rely directly on seasonal contracts, meaning delays or cancellations can create immediate uncertainty about income, benefits, and career opportunities. Many players are still waiting to finalize deals tied to the next collective bargaining agreement, which raises the stakes even higher as negotiations continue. That's why the current moment feels so tense. On one side are owners and executives operating within a powerful global sports industry. On the other are players trying to secure better pay, stability, and long-term protections for their careers. And as the discussions move closer to critical deadlines, the outcome will shape not just one season, but the future structure of professional women's basketball. But the biggest question surrounding this entire situation revolves around one player, Caitlin Clark. If negotiations between the Women's National Basketball Players Association and the Women's National Basketball Association were to lead to a lockout, the impact across the league could be significant for many athletes whose contracts and careers depend directly on the season taking place. However, Clark's position in the sport is somewhat unique. With massive fan interest, major sponsorship deals, and global visibility, along with opportunities connected to USA Basketball, her influence extends far beyond a single league schedule, meaning the spotlight around her career would likely continue regardless of temporary disruptions within the WNBA season. Even if a season were disrupted in the Women's National Basketball Association, the spotlight around Caitlin Clark would not simply disappear. Her influence now stretches far beyond a single league schedule. Through international competition with USA Basketball and events connected to the FIBA Women's Basketball World Cup qualifiers, she would still be competing on a major global stage in front of huge audiences. At the same time, her commercial power continues to grow through partnerships with major brands such as Nike, Gatorade, and Wilson Sporting Goods. Because of that reach, Clark has become one of the most recognizable faces in modern basketball, a player whose impact goes beyond one league's calendar. That unique position has fueled constant debate among fans and analysts about how much influence a single superstar can have over the broader economics and future direction of women's professional basketball. Throughout her rise, Caitlin Clark has been at the center of intense debate, scrutiny, and pressure that often comes with being one of the most visible figures in the sport. During her rookie season in the Women's National Basketball Association, she faced physical defenses, constant media analysis, and a level of attention that few first-year players ever experience. Her record-breaking performances and massive fan following also sparked heated conversations across the basketball world about popularity, media narratives, and the rapidly changing economics of women's basketball. Despite the noise surrounding those debates, Clark's approach has largely remained the same: focus on playing the game. Rather than getting pulled into every controversy, she has continued to compete, improve, and expand her presence on bigger stages such as events organized by USA Basketball. By doing so, she has reminded fans and sponsors why her arrival generated such enormous attention in the first place. In many ways, her rise reflects a larger shift happening in the sport. The surge of interest in women's basketball today is being fueled by new stars, new audiences, and a growing global market. Clark has become one of the most recognizable symbols of that momentum, showing how a single electrifying player can capture attention, attract sponsors, and help push the entire game into a new era of visibility and opportunity. As the deadline draws closer, the pressure around the future of the Women's National Basketball Association continues to build. Negotiations involving the Women's National Basketball Players Association and league leadership remain one of the most closely watched developments in professional sports right now. Key figures across the basketball world, including Adam Silver and Commissioner Kathy Engelbert, are carefully weighing the long-term direction of the league while ownership groups evaluate the financial and competitive future of the sport. At the same time, another narrative is unfolding away from the negotiating table. Clips from training sessions with USA Basketball have spread rapidly online, showing stars like Caitlin Clark and Kelsey Plum competing, joking, and putting on the kind of show that fans around the world want to see. Those moments highlight the enormous global interest surrounding women's basketball right now, an interest fueled by new audiences, television partnerships, and the growing visibility of the sport. For league owners, broadcasters, and sponsors, that attention is the real prize. Networks want compelling games to air, fans want elite competition, and players ultimately want opportunities to showcase their talent on the biggest stages. As negotiations continue, the challenge for everyone involved will be finding a path that protects the league's financial growth while also rewarding the athletes who are driving its popularity. So here's the question everyone is asking right now. Is Caitlin Clark intentionally staying silent about the ongoing negotiations inside the Women's National Basketball Association to show that her focus and her power comes purely from what she does on the court? Or are tensions within the Women's National Basketball Players Association simply exposing deeper disagreements about how the future of the league should be handled, and what message does it send when one of the union's own leaders, Kelsey Plum, is out there competing, laughing, and training alongside Clark during sessions with USA Basketball while the debate continues behind closed doors? These are the questions shaping the next chapter of women's basketball. Now I want to hear from you. Do you think the league is heading toward a major breakthrough, or a major conflict? And how big could Clark's impact become as the sport continues to explode in popularity? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Write down pointing backhand index, and if you want deeper breakdowns of the business, power struggles, and behind-the-scenes battles shaping the sports world, make sure you subscribe, turn on notifications, and share this video with other basketball fans, because on this channel, we don't just talk about the highlights, we break down the forces shaping the entire game. Stay sharp. I'll see you in the next one. Basketball and hoop fire. As the clock winds down toward a critical moment for the Women's National Basketball Association, many analysts believe the final stage of negotiations between league owners and the Women's National Basketball Players Association could soon produce a decisive offer, one that may force both sides to make difficult choices about the future structure of the league. At stake are issues like revenue sharing, salaries, and the long-term financial model of women's professional basketball. League leadership, including Kathy Engelbert and figures connected to the broader National Basketball Association such as Adam Silver, are watching closely as the negotiations approach a defining moment. At the same time, the broader conversation around the sport continues to revolve around its biggest stars, especially Caitlin Clark, whose rapid rise has helped bring unprecedented attention to the game. Her performances, whether in the WNBA or with USA Basketball on the international stage, have drawn millions of viewers and created enormous commercial momentum for women's basketball. That contrast between boardroom negotiations and the excitement happening on the court has made this moment feel like a turning point for the league. The decisions made now could shape salaries, media deals, and the overall business model of the sport for years to come. So now the question shifts to the fans. Do you think the WNBA and the Players' Union will reach a deal before tensions escalate further? Or could this moment become one of the most defining turning points in the history of women's professional basketball? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Basketball and hoop. Fire.